Hello again and welcome to another video. Thanks for joining me. I'll start with a quick recap on what I was planning on doing this past week. I was going to look at cleaning up movement, character feel and combo timings, fixing super attacks, knockback, health bars, and as a bonus look at the projectiles. So I'm going to start with none of those. As it sometimes happens with a creative project, you pull on a thread and you go off on a tangent and do something completely different, which kind of happened this week. The channel I've mentioned previously, Cobra, they released a new video specifically around 2D images and best settings for processing those in a game, and the eagle-eyed viewers might already see there's a slight difference in what the game looks like. It's slightly more crisp. So that video that was released was very helpful and a lot of information in there that was great to use. So thanks for that video. So I kind of looked at all of the settings mentioned in that video and I explored it a bit more just to get the game slightly more clearer and crisp. I normally have the fidelity, or looking at the fidelity of the game, later in my roadmap, but it's beneficial to look at it early as well. It might not be evident on the video, but it's definitely a lot clearer as I'm playing it at the moment. But I'll put up a before and a after. Maybe it'll be visible, maybe it won't. You might notice a slight difference, and I'll just put it up for the sake of putting it up. Moving on to the cleaning up of movement, I generally just cleaned up my code a bit to make sure that I can know when a character is doing what, like if they're attacking, walking, running, jumping, so that you can't attack while jumping or falling. You can't jump or fall or run while you're attacking and stuff like that. So I managed to clean up a lot of that and make the code slightly cleaner and better to work with. So I'm happy with what I achieved there. In terms of character feel and combo timings, so I brought up this, or I made this little map for myself. Just to kind of see a full range of how the characters move. So I didn't really put any effort into making the sprites move in the right direction. It was just a case of being able to move them all at the same time. And this is what I kind of used to figure out who I want to move faster and who I want to move slower, which really helped a lot. But that being said, I might actually use this technique of moving more than one character. Looking at the characters Sumire and Toshiro, they don't really have any super attacks or anything like that. So I was thinking, or I'm toying with the idea, where let's say Sumire, she's got Guren as maybe some kind of protector. So if you have a super meter for her, it spawns Guren in with her, and maybe the character moves in the opposite direction as you are moving. Just as a, or maybe an AI controls it, I don't know, I'll still see. But just as a support on the battlefield. The same for Toshiro. I think his support character will be Ryuji. But I'm still toying with that, and this was a good exercise to kind of see who's fast, what I need to change, and so on. In terms of other character feel, if I just go back to this, I looked at specifically air movement, the jumping force, character speed, and stuff like that. I'll bring up my notes briefly. I went through quite a few iterations with each character to make sure they feel how I want them to feel. Like Hotaru is now much faster. He's got a bit more air control, and everything feels slightly faster with him. Character like Sumire is much more air control. I feel like she's already at a disadvantage because she doesn't have a lot of attacks. Same with Toshiro, a lot more air control. So they're slightly more nimble and they can jump higher. And what I also did for them, these last three characters, because they don't have anything else, I added a double jump for them. I'll still display some kind of, maybe a particle effect or some kind of effect when you do a double jump, but I think that's a good compromise for them to include double jump, since they're going to be nimble characters. The combat timings I addressed for all of them. So what I actually did notice is, if I look at one of them, I noticed if I had my chain animations when anime notify state on the second track, there was a slight delay in it actually being played. So, which I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've felt. So I made sure all of them were at the top. So it's the first notification state that plays. It seemed to help a bit. And I also slightly adjusted all of them, because when you do attack an enemy, there's a hit stop that plays. So it takes that into account now, because there was a slight delay, obviously, and the timings didn't feel exactly right. But now all of the timings I'm super happy with, all of them. They're all feeling really responsive and fast, as they should be. So I'm very happy with that. Super attacks, I looked at all of them. I made sure all the hitboxes and everything work as expected. I'll showcase them soon, or in a moment. I just want to go through a few more things, but I generally cleaned it up, made sure all the hitboxes work as expected, and that they execute like I want them to execute. So that's also been cleaned out. Knockback, I did implement, it's now on the combo attacks, the third attack, as well as on the super attacks. And I did do health bars as well. And that kind of leads me into talking about game feel. So it's important for me to make sure the game feels good. There's been a lot of games that I've played in the past where it looks great and the story is fantastic, but when you play it, it feels, I'd say, slippery or unresponsive, and I don't really like that. It needs to be really crisp. So what I've done is, for the health bars, the technique that a lot of games use, where the health chunks back and then the amount of damage shows in a different color and it depletes slowly, just to make show the user how much damage they did. I've also included a slight camera shake on each hit. It might not be super noticeable, I might still tweak it a bit, but it definitely helps giving the attacks slightly more physical feel. And if we look at, okay, that's dead. If we look at the knockback, it's now on the third hit. What I have done is, for the knockback, it's set so you can change it per character, and there's a super knockback as well, how much the super knockbacks characters. And I did the same for the camera shake. There's camera shakes for combos, so each attack it chooses randomly from this list, so I'll just make a lot of them and it'll choose randomly, just to give it a bit more character, I suppose. And the super has its own character shake or screen shake as well. If we look at Haruki, he's got a super. So there's the camera shake for the hit, and the super is slightly more violent. And there's the health, you can see nicely. Other things that I've been toying with is I noticed Guren, his sword goes through the ground. There's nothing really I can do about that, because that's just how the sprite was made and I can't move him higher. But I thought I might just incorporate that into the whole game. So this is just experimental, I was toying with it, but I think it looks kinda nice. It leaves sparks while he's running, and if you are in the super state, the sparks are red. I think that's nice. I think I'm gonna keep it. I'll obviously change it a bit more to leave a trail on the ground as well. So that's kind of nice. Things that I want to complete for next week. I want to look at the stun lengths, because what I've done is there's also now I've made the stun lengths that you can have it per attack. So each attack in the combo has its own stun length. The reason I did this is I might in the future put in some kind of negative effect on a character. So if something happens, then there's no stun for a while, so enemies would have to fight. And I'll do the same with the knockbacks. I'll just kind of tweak it a bit. What I do want to do for next week as well is look at the amount of damage per attack per character. So I'm probably going to implement that in the same way. I'll look at a basic HUD to display player health, link into dashes. Currently the dashes are limited. I think I've put in 2, and then 3 for him, and then there's like a cooldown, and then you can do 3 again, and then while I'm pressing nothing happens. So yeah, there is a cooldown. I'd like to display that on the HUD for the user, and I'd like to implement the super meter as well, so that builds up as you damage or kill enemies, and maybe as you take damage it depletes. Which also leads me to some thoughts I had on Sumire, which is, and maybe Toshido as well. Since they are very limited, I might actually make them able to, they have the normal chain and then carry on chaining it indefinitely, or maybe 2 or 3 times. So instead of just 3 attacks, they can do all 3 attacks twice. But I'll see how that works out. Maybe it'll make it slightly imbalanced, but I think it might be good. So yeah, that's me for this week. I look forward to actually seeing the state of the game next week. I think it's starting to take shape and starting to feel like an actual game. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you next week.